Okay, just before this episode with Dom Joly starts, I just wanted to give a little shout out to the Phoenix Hotel in Liverpool behind me. Now, most of you know we film the Leg It podcast in an office space, and that office space is given to us by Rob. Rob's an absolute legend. He gives it us whenever we want. Most of the time it's short notice as well, and as you know from the videos, it's a fucking tremendous space. I suppose you could say some of the success is down to him giving us his office. And he's opening a new hotel in Liverpool called the Phoenix Hotel. It's really close to Anfield, really close to Goodison. I've just had a look around now, probably include some clips of what I've seen. It looks fantastic inside. So if you are thinking of staying in Liverpool, then you need to stay at the Phoenix Hotel. Tell your friends and family as well that it's open. Will be open in the next 2 weeks or so. And I'll put the links in the description where you can find it. So go and check out the Phoenix Hotel in Liverpool, and I hope you enjoy our episode that we did with Dom Joly.
Tonight, I'm going.
Yeah.
Exactly the same time as my gig.
Yeah.
So I'm in suicide, really.
Well,
I'm hoping it's Southport, so it's far enough away that they probably hate Liverpool. Yeah.
Oh, there's a big divide because Liverpool is so Labour and Southport's voted Tory.
Is it? Because you're getting into Lytham St Anne's golf area, aren't you? Yeah. And then you get Blackpool. It's
So
like it's
no,
the sort
no one
of...
in Liverpool's happy with Southport at the moment.
Really? Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, we got Royal Birkdale.
Huh?
Had the
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
In 2017. Yeah.
And then you go into Blackpool, so it's like a sort of real buffer zone for Tories. It's like where they all live. Yeah.
Right, Dom, thank you so much for coming on the Leg It podcast. Really appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, guys.
I know we literally just stemmed out of nowhere, which is fantastic.
It's the power of Twitter, isn't it?
Yeah, literally. He said, do you want to come on the podcast? And he said, sure.
Well, I'm on Twitter. I'm on Twitter all the time because I'm touring. So like, I spend all day doing nothing. And I'm writing a book at the moment about driving around Britain. So I'm kind of combining it with my tour. So every day I think, well, what am I going to do? And yesterday I said, I'm going around Liverpool today. You asked me, why not? It's great. I love it, but that's what I love about it. It's the way it should be. Yeah. It should be that easy.
I wanted to...
I mean, of course, you could have been serial killers. I had no idea.
Opposite the cemetery.
Well, I was having a beer with my dad, and he just texted me and said, what are you doing tomorrow, 11 o'clock? I was like, fucking hell, God, that was it.
Yeah,
done.
It's weird, isn't it? But I always worry deep down, because obviously I started off as a sort of prankster. I always worry. I think, fuck, is this the moment that like there is no podcast? No, I don't think I have. I always think, and it's a terrible thing to say, but I always think that I'll spot it because like most of them are so shit. But one day someone will get me. The secret is to get someone on their weakness. Like when you watch Beatles about years ago, whatever. If people are really into their car, then they just have a blind spot. Like their car, like you don't mess with it. So if you found my blind spot, which is probably authority. So if you're like, something like that, I don't know.
So I wanted to obviously so infamous Trigger Happy TV, and I think it's 20 years. Is it 20 years ago?
Oh God, it made me feel so old. 14th of January this year was the 20th anniversary of first going out. And my kid had just been born, and my kid's 20 now. It's like, it's insane. I still feel like a twat.
Do you get sick and tired of people still mentioning it? Even if it's brilliant. No.
Well, hello, no. Yeah. I mean, I literally every day, just this morning, I went into my hotel reception, walked past, and this guy, you can spot when they're going to do it. He thinks, should I go for my phone? And then he doesn't bother. He just goes, hello! And honestly, 20 years on, and I still don't know what to say. It's like someone shouts hello, and I go, hello? I haven't got a good comeback to it. But, I mean, how good is that people still remember something?
20 years on.
I mean, it's a bit of a shit catchphrase, hello, but, it's all right.
It was such a... obviously, I know you brought it back not long ago, didn't you?
Well, I didn't really bring it back. I just did a tiny... It was really... You'll see in the show tonight, the reason I brought it back was really I wanted to do this one Joe in Venice that you'll see... Well, you're coming to the show tonight in Southport, so you'll see why. But yeah, I sort of brought it back. I hate people bringing stuff back because when you bring things back... I can't think of anything in the history of show business that has been big, goes away, comes back and is better. There's only one example in all of show business. Do you know what that is? It's not good. Just take that. Honestly, I think they came back bigger. But really, it's like Fast Show comes back, it's shit. It's not going to happen. So when I did the new one, I thought I'll do a mini one for all four because I had lots of ideas I want to do, but particularly this idea in Venice. But I wanted it had to be all new characters. Except, see, I hate the Big Mobile. Like, Big Mobile was a one-off joke for Trigger Happy, but it became this thing that even if you hadn't seen Trigger Happy, you knew about the Big Mobile. But when I'm rehashing it, the mobile's fucking changed now. Like when I had it, you just made a call. Now you can like live vlog your food. You're on Tinder. It's like so. I did bring back a new Big Mobile, but yeah.
No. So what? from that, I mean, so how did Trigger Happy All's TV all start? I want to know
even,
Well, I did things the wrong way around. Like, normally you'd do something stupid like Trigger Happy, which is not stupid, I'm very proud of it, but, like idiot things when you're a kid. But I was really serious when I was first in my 20s. I was a diplomat. It's fucking insane. But I was in Prague. I was a diplomat. Then I worked in Parliament. It's just insane. I had a pass in Parliament for ITN because I was like, I'm a politics nut and sort of history nut, which is why I've sort of ended up doing what I do now. And then I kind of knew that I wasn't going to be really big in ITN because I was sort of not dedicated enough. So they'd send me out to get the sort of little stories on the green outside. And anyway, I ended up pissing about. And when I'd go and interview someone, I'd ring mates and say, look, I'm going to interview someone. Why don't you do something in the background? And we're interviewing this guy called David Mellor, who was Secretary of State for Sport. Everyone hated him. And I can't remember what happened, but we were talking about football hooliganism, so I got people to play football in the background, and I scratched my head. They were supposed to kick the ball towards us, and then I was going to join the game and ignore him in the interview. But actually, they kicked the ball, and it smacked him in the face, like right live on telly. And it was amazing. Like, everyone was like, oh, this is incredible. And I was like, I got this great story. And then ITN realised that I'd set it up, and I was fired from ITN. And because of that, I got a job for a guy called Mark Thomas, who did a show called the Mark Thomas Comedy Product. And it was the first kind of Michael Moore type show where they took the piss out of politicians and stuff. And the first day I went in there, we had to drive see what would be served in a McDonald's drive-through. So like we took a tank through a clown car. And I remember thinking, I'm being paid to do this. It's amazing. And that was the moment where I thought, right, I've got to do that.
But was that the idea for you, though, just to try and do something to make it go viral and just to get noticed and kind of just be big? You're saying, like, ringing up mates to do stuff in the background. Was that just always the idea, just to...
It wasn't, but you see, viral. There was no viral then.
Yeah, guess,
that's what was so funny. It just made me laugh. Like, I mean, the things that really make me laugh the most are things that aren't on telly. Like, they're just... we had this saying in Trigger Happy, for the beauty. And it was really like the things that really made us laugh was when we were in the van and we were driving around doing stuff. It was just stuff that no one else would ever know, but it was just made us laugh. And it was we called it, those things were for the beauty. Yeah. It wasn't for the telly. And I think if you can translate that kind of feeling onto telly, where you're not desperately trying to do it, it's just, you're doing it because it just makes you laugh and it's really silly. You'll see again tonight in the show, things that really make me laugh. I like going a ridiculous level of effort and distance to do something really pointless. It's just really makes me laugh. And originally when I finished the Mark Thomas, I went on this channel called the Paramount Comedy Channel. And at the time, that was a satellite channel and it was playing just Friends and Frasier and stuff like that.
It's like the Dave of today then.
Well, yeah, except it wasn't making any programs, but everywhere, everyone working there was crazy. We had Ali G was working there, Keith Lemon was in the art department, who else was there? Simon Pegg was working there.
You know, it's like an incubator.
Little Britain were working there. And all of us were working because it was a comedy channel. And then they started realising they had all these people doing stuff. So they said, why don't you put stuff out in between the shows? Little 3-minute segments. So I started doing stuff that was political. I was putting Millennium Domes in Peter Mandelson's garden and attacking Tony Blair and having stuff like that. And that did really well. Like, all bands used to watch it. Like Oasis told me they used to watch our stuff and it was great. And then Channel 4 heard about it and said, we'd like you to do something. And I said, I want to do political. And they just said, we don't want to do political. We've just done Chris Morris. We've been in court for 2 years. Can you just do something stupid? And that was the best thing that ever happened to me. Because I kind of thought, rather than trying to prove I'm smart, just Trigger Happy was just whatever made me laugh, and that's how it happened.
What did your family think of, you've gone from being this diplomat to very serious kind of guy, and then suddenly now you're just taking the piss out of everyone?
Just couldn't believe it. Like, I mean, literally, they've no idea. I mean, even worse is my Canadian family. Like, I just met my wife just as I was making Trigger Happy TV, and then it blew up. Luckily, I'd married her already, so I knew she liked me for me. And then I went to Canada. And they go, so you're on TV, Dom? And I go, yeah. And I go, what is it you do? And Stacey's like trying to explain. She goes, he shouts into a big cellular phone. And they're like, oh, okay. And you can see I'm just thinking, what a fucking loser. Yeah. Like, that is terrible. Yeah, and my family were all right with it. Who cares, really? Yeah.
It was the mixture of music as well.
Well, music is my big love. Like, I'm a goth. I'm an ex-goth. You're never an ex-goth. I like sad music. And really, I was in a band. I was in a terrible band called Hang David, but we toured America. Like, that was my big. If I really wanted to be in something, it was a band. But I had no musical talent, unfortunately. So when I did Trigger, really, I loved the comedy and it was fun. But the edit was what Trigger Happy was all about. I spent 5 months in the edit for each Trigger Happy, just putting that music on. Every single track was chosen with love. The music was what it was all about for me. And I brought bands back. I got bands back together because they got, popular on that. I mean, the music was all about it. When I first gave it into Channel 4, they did a focus group, which is just like the death of anything. And all the people said the music's a bit sad. I'm like, yeah, it's meant to be, you stupid cunts. Honestly, it's like, honestly. So I'm so proud of that. And we had like gold discs for the soundtracks and stuff. That's my proudest thing. Like, I love
really?
it.
Yeah,
and people still remember the music from it.
Yeah, is it Flock of Seagulls was on there?
Oh yeah, and Die Round. That's a good Liverpool one. What else do I have from Liverpool? I can't remember. I had all sorts of stuff. The most requested
Baker
one.
Man?
I love Baker Man. No, they're
Liverpool.
German, I think. Laid back. I had one by a guy called Gordon Lightfoot. It's called If You Could Read My Mind. And I had that over a portrait artist who sat in Trafalgar Square just drawing or running away. And I didn't know who Gordon Lightfoot was. I just heard this song. And everyone kept saying, what is that song? It's amazing. And I started getting big-headed, and I thought I could do a Vic Reeves. Like, we're gonna re-record. He's probably homeless, so we'll find him and we'll re-record the track and we'll make a video and we'll put it out for Christmas. So we contacted his manager and sent them the video. Nothing came. We were waiting, nothing came. So we finally contacted him again and said, what's happening? And he goes, oh, sorry, Gordon said no. And I said, well, why? He said, yeah, he's seen it. He just thought it was shit, which is really bad. And now I find out, I didn't realise Gordon Lightfoot's like he's massive. Like, that's one of the most covered songs in history. So I was like asking something massive, but you just don't think about that. No. And then I had another moment with a Liverpool guy. I used something from Wings, Band on the Run. And there was just this surreal moment where you have to clear all this music, and it costs a fortune, which is why I had to use shit music when it went abroad. But there was a moment where I was speaking to a lawyer who was speaking to Paul McCartney, and Paul McCartney was watching the clip, and then he goes, yeah, go on then. I was like, fuck, I nearly got to talk to Paul McCartney. Wow. No, it's not easy. It took fucking ages. Yeah. But it's so rare, and you just think, fuck, Paul McCartney's just watched my stuff. It's really cool.
Well, can I pull up, obviously for people who are watching on YouTube.
Oh, look at this. This is all very...
How many series did you end up doing then?
So I did 2 series of 6, and then I did 2 Christmas specials, so it was like 2.5. Yeah, and then there was an American one, but I didn't want to do that. And then they insisted I was in it, so I went out to exec produce it. And when I went out, they were already putting it out on telly, and it was so shit. I kind of disassociated myself because it was just crap.
One of my, I don't actually think it was Trigger Happy. I think it was World Shut Your Mouth,
which is my favourite show. I do a lot of that. Really? Yeah, World Shut Your Mouth. I prefer to Trigger Happy, and
really?
yeah, and I actually I don't do any Trigger Happy in the tour. I feel everyone's seen that, but World Shut Your Mouth, no one's really seen. So
it was the market stall with the carrots.
Oh, I fucking love that one. And do you know what's so terrible? That's one of my favourite ones. But what's brilliant about that is there is a logic to it. And when I was doing it, I was desperately trying to remember to get it right. That's my favourite one.
Do you mind if I...
Yeah.
YouTube, don't give me a violation.
I fucking love that.
We've already...
Hello. I came earlier to get a kilo of carrots, and I've got a kilo of potatoes. Oh, is it the wrong one? Yeah. Do you mind changing it?
He's straight out of Dickens, this guy. Wait till his wife arrives. This is in Portobello Road.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
That's my kilo of potatoes. And then I bought a kilo of potatoes, and I needed a kilo of carrots, so you gave me the wrong one. So can I swap that for carrots? Thanks. No. I ordered a kilo of carrots, and I got potatoes. But I also ordered a kilo of potatoes and got carrots. So it's just a simple misunderstanding. No, I wanted a kilo of potatoes and a kilo of carrots. I came here, ordered that, and when I came back, I found that instead of carrots in here, I had potatoes. And in the other one, instead of potatoes, I had carrots. It's the wrong way around.
Oh, here comes Victorian woman, look.
But that's why I've come back to change it. When I turned up, this is a kilo of carrots, and this is a kilo of potatoes. Well, now it's a kilo of potatoes, a kilo of carrots. It's different, isn't it?
Oh, God, I'm so... Please get this right.
Customer is always right, I have to say. No. Sorry, but I'm not stupid.
I've never seen this.
Right, so we swapped that, sorted that out. This was a potato. What's that now?
I love her face now. Right. Look at this. She looks like she's in the middle of Russia, look. I'm really glad you... Oh, this is my other one I love. Oh, this is my favourite one.
I'll play it down. What I love from this is that I presume obviously you have to tell them that they're being filmed, but if you didn't,
no, of course not.
Do you?
Oh, afterwards.
Yeah,
that's the nightmare.
Yeah.
I've got probably 4 series of Trigger Happy that I can't show because people wouldn't sign.
Really?
Yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, often the main reason is like you film someone and then they go, "Oh, I love Trigger Happy, but I'm not with my wife." There's so many people wandering around.
Fuck,
No,
really?
and you're filming them not with their wife or stuff like that. Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah. It's massive. It's crazy. Yeah. We did one thing in a cinema, in Prince Charles Cinema in London, and it was like 3 PM. There was about 40 people in there, and I put an infrared camera like shooting out. And I can't remember what we were doing. We did it before the actual film, so we wouldn't ruin the film for them because we're not wankers. And so we did the thing. Everyone's like, "What's that about?" And then we just stopped. And we go, "Ladies and gentlemen, really sorry to bother you. We were just filming that for Trigger Happy TV. If everyone's happy with that, we'll pay for your film. If anyone's not happy, let me know." 7 couples all stand up, and they were all there, a little dirty thing, and they went out. Honestly, it's rife.
That's crazy.
It's crazy, yeah.
So what I was going to say before was the way that if you hadn't had to tell them, they've just they've got this like this story there that only they.
But do you know what? That you're so bang on in that. When I started, before I did Trigger Happy, when I was doing it for Paramount Comedy Show, we just didn't bother. We never let them, and that's what I loved the most because I don't think we're ever nasty. Like the idea, it was more you just chuck this weird surreal thing in, and then I love them going home that night and saying, "Do you have a good day today?" And it's like, "Fuck, you won't believe what happened today." I love that, yeah. And it kind of ruins it when you tell them
when
why.
you tell them, yeah. Information. So this is World Shut Your Mouth.
Yes.
So did you get a bigger budget then from the BBC to do World Shut Your Mouth?
Yeah, I mean, they gave some massive budget, and actually, it's one of the things I learned is that the bigger the budget, the shitter the show. Actually, although I love World Shut Your Mouth, really, I mean, I was so up my own arse by this stage because it was massive Trigger Happy, and we were just travelling. We went all the way across America. I think we shot about 9 seconds of stuff. And we were just having fun. We did you'll see tonight. Like, it was ridiculous. Some of the things we did. I did one joke where I went to all 7 wonders of the world in one trip, just to do one little joke, it's crazy. But some of the ideas are great. This is in a tourist information centre in Bruges in Belgium. I'm kind of obsessed with Belgium because it's weird. And I love this one because it's clever, I think.
All right.
I haven't seen these for ages. It's quite exciting seeing my stuff.
Hello. Information? Yes. David and John came down to breakfast in the hotel this morning, and there was a basket of bread rolls. There were 40 bread rolls, and they were €2.50 each. Now, David had 6 rolls, and John, who was hungry, had 12 rolls. If David paid for all the rolls they ate, and they had a kitty of €50 for the day, how much change would they have to spend in the day? No conferring, and you need to show your wife.
She says Dummkopf, which means idiot.
Any working out of the answer you need to show on a paper, and there's no conferring. You've got 2 minutes.
I don't quite understand. Do I have to calculate or something?
I'm just saying the questions. I can't help you.
Just with the question, yes, but I don't know. I'm not calculating. I don't give tourist information. So.
Okay, well, I'm going to have to fail you, but what do you think about a week, and we'll see how well you do that next.
It's just so stupid, but I love it.
There was a similar information one I think you did on Trigger Happy, which was where someone would ask where
that's my favourite one.
London Bridge.
Yeah.
And
well, I used to do that for real because I'm such a twat. But someone would say, "Excuse me, do you know where Charles Dickens' house is?" I go, "Oh, you mean Charles Dickens, who wrote Tale of Two Cities, Oliver Twist, born 1832, died 1896, lived in Kent." Married to Anne Hathaway, blah, 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 blah. Went into all this detail. And she go, yeah. Do you know where it is? Again, no idea. I love those ones. I hate, there's something I love and hate about Britain in the sense that we have these things that have been forced on us where you have people going, here to help, hey, and we're not happy people, really. I mean, you might be in Liverpool. We don't really want to help tourists and stuff. But you've got all these things, and then they're so grumpy, like don't know the answer and can't be asked. And I love that. Yeah.
Is this the first time you've watched it back in a while then?
Yeah, I never watch it, and it's actually really nice. I watched a couple of things just for the show, because I was going through. I wanted to do some foreign clips because my show's all about travel. But yeah, no, I've never watched it. I mean, I kind of want to watch it with my kids. I don't think my kids have ever seen it. It's just weird. Like, you can't watch it.
Do you think it would have been, obviously it was huge, and like I say, I remember it growing up and stuff, but do you think in the world now of YouTube and social media, if it was now, it just would have been even bigger? Or are you kind of glad that it
couldn't be much bigger than, I mean, Trigger Happy was weirdly big. I mean, we sold to 90 countries around the world. I shifted like 5 million DVDs. I mean, it was fucking massive. I had no idea at the time. The difference, I think, is that firstly I would have been able to play it all around the world with the same soundtrack, which would have been amazing. All the ones I sold to America and Germany and stuff, I had to use a shit soundtrack, and the soundtrack was so part of it, but it cost so much money. I don't know. I always think that. I mean, 4 years after I'd made it, YouTube started, I'd have probably done it on YouTube. I'd have owned it more. I don't know. I loved the way it happened. The difference is, when you put it out on YouTube, people watch it in different moments. What's powerful still about television is that went out on Friday night and everyone saw it at the same time, and then everyone talks about it. You have that water cooler moment, and that's pretty important. Like, everyone at school on a Monday morning was like talking about it, whereas YouTube stuff kind of tends to drift a bit. You don't all see it.
We had that thing with like talking with Eunice about Gladiators. Like, when Gladiators were on, it was Saturday night. Everyone
it was
watched
massive.
it. You were there on a Saturday night.
It was amazing. I mean, it was like event TV. It was good. I didn't realise that at the time. I mean, it's crazy. It was the first thing I ever did for telly, and I now meet people that are, probably your age or stuff, and they all like, oh, we used to watch it every night. And I just didn't, when it was happening, I didn't realise how lucky I was, how big it got. Yeah. And it was only when it finished, I was like, fuck, that was huge,
Yeah,
it was
good to get a TV show as well. How old were you when you filmed it?
Well, I was quite old, actually. I was 28 when I got Trigger Happy, so it wasn't like 18, which is lucky, because otherwise I'd have really screwed up. But it was amazing. I remember we made a one-off, like a comedy lab, and they quite liked it, and then they said, make a series. We were like, fuck, we're making a series. And we literally went off for a year and just filmed and filmed and filmed. And the big reason Trigger Happy worked is, before that, there were no like cameras you could just film yourself. You had to get a crew in and stuff. That cost money, and it was all traditional. Just the year Trigger Happy happened, it was a bit like punk. Like, suddenly you could get your own guitar and just play it and just do your own thing. We got a camera that was just good enough. We bought it, that we didn't have to hire other people. So we just went off and filmed, and we filmed so much shit that was crap. That's how we learned. And after a year, when we finished, we spent ages in the edit, and no one was expecting anything from us. So no one like bugged us. And then we just handed it in, and they said, it's going on Friday night between Friends and Frasier. We were like, fucking hell. And of course, from then on, it was never the same. The moment you're a hit, everyone tries to get involved and like tries to chip in, and you end up like compromising. But when no one knows who you are, it's the best thing.
Yeah, okay. So the second series, though, did like editors come in and did they?
No, second series, it was good actually. They left us. Like, I just insisted. I said, "Fuck off!" Like, and we just, second series was better than the first actually, and it was really good. But it was when I moved on, when I went to the BBC, I was confused. I didn't really want to do more hidden camera. I wanted to do other stuff, but then I knew that was where my bread was buttered, and people had started to turn, because like, once you're big, then people go, you're a cunt. Like, for instance, I moved to, sorry, can I swear on this?
Yeah, of course you can. Yeah.
I moved to the BBC as an example, and I realised this is insane. So I've got an office in the BBC, it's nice. Some guy comes in and says, would you like your office painted? Like, you've moved in. I hadn't even thought about it. And I said, yeah, okay, that's nice. And they go, when you move in, you get your office painted. They said, what colour do you want? I said, I don't know, red. So they had painted red. The fucking next day, in the sort of page 3 of the Daily Mirror, Trigger Happy star sees red. He refuses to start work until his suite of offices are painted red. I go, what? That was just... And all that shit started to happen, and I was just like, oh fuck, I can't deal with this.
Yeah.
So I was quite pleased.
How kind of shit was that? I mean, when you kind of make it to a level, and then you just kind of notice that people, it's the kind of people wanting you to big, come on, this should be great, and then you get to that level, and it's like,
yeah, I mean,
who the fuck do you think you are now?
Yeah, it is a bit that. I mean, I was lucky in that I'm not someone that goes to film premieres. I was married. I wasn't going out with, I wasn't like getting in trouble. So I didn't have that sort of shit. But what's extraordinary is like just the amount of lies that's written about you, and you realise that if that's written about you, like everything you read is just bollocks, you know. So they'd be like, Dom and his 9 million Cotswold mansion. You're like, no, fuck, I win like all this shit, and just my kids, just stuff they make up just without thinking about it. It's not big things, but then you realise that everything that's written about is bullshit. And once it happens to you, you think, well, if that's happening to me, it's happening to everyone. And it's just bollocks like that. And it's just pervasive after a bit. So I moved to the country in the end, and I kind of pulled out. I was burnt out after Trigger Happy. I just was like, go away, yeah.
Do you still read the newspapers now or not?
No, fuck no. I haven't read the newspapers I write for newspapers, but proper newspapers. But even the proper ones are pretty bad. But no, it's just bollocks.
Yeah.
It's really bad here.
Well, I was going to ask. So obviously, there's like YouTube pranksters now, isn't there?
I hate that word, prankster.
Oh dear.
Well, I do, because I think I'll tell you the problem I have with hidden camera, was what I call it, is essentially if you're smart in comedy, hidden camera, what I do, is seen as the lowest rung. Like, it is what idiots do. And if you're smart, you go and you write sitcoms, you write films, you write screenplays, stuff like that. And I grew up just loving like hidden camera. Like, I watched Candid Camera, like even in the 50s, was really quite experimental. If you think about it, Hidden Camera was the very first reality show. It was the first time that members of the public were the stars, not like it was amazing.
Yeah, it's a good
and
point.
then it got a bit shit in the end. Oh, here we go. I'm going to answer this.
Yeah.
Hello! Yeah, hello? Yeah, is that all right? Can I, at 1 o'clock? I can't hear you. Hi. I'll just come to the restaurant because I can't at the moment. I'm right in the middle of something. Okay, brilliant. But I should be all right, yeah? Thanks. Got to say it. Ciao. Right.
Where were we? Yeah.
So hidden camera is to me, it's an art form. And if you think about hidden camera, so basically idiots normally do hidden camera. In the 80s, when I grew up, it was like idiots like Beadle and stuff like that. And it was all just about fucking putting a public toilet in someone's garden and getting them angry. And it was just sort of stunt stuff. It was just not intelligent stuff. But I always thought there was something beautiful about it. And if you think about it, it's that terrible word, improv. All of hidden camera, like Trigger Happy, is made up. Yeah. I don't know what's going to happen. So I have to make it up on the spot. But improv in England is fucking, the idea of improv, it's like John Sessions stuck in a lift. And whereas in America, improv goes to things like Curb Your Enthusiasm, Spinal Tap, really good stuff. But here, there's nowhere to go. So I wanted to make it, and I really liked it. I always still feel a bit chippy that I don't think hidden camera is respected enough. And that's why I hate the word prank, because after Trigger Happy, there was a wave of stuff. And most of it is shit.
But you said before, like, the kind of really intelligent stuff, it's like the screenplay and stuff. But I think to make good hidden camera stuff, there has got to be that genius to it, that kind of...
Oh, I'm not worried about it at all. I'm so proud of it. And really, just got to make people laugh. I would put Trigger Happy against any other show in front of a group of people, and we'd get more laughs. And it's smart. There's weird bits of it. That's not the point. I just think there's a real snobby element in comedy that just don't take hidden camera seriously. And I'm like, well, fuck you. I'm funnier than you.
It's interesting what you say about the improv. I done a corporate gig, a motivational gig in Boston, and they had this improv.
Boston, America, or here?
Yeah, America. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Big pharmaceutical
nice
firm.
Work.
And they kind of had an improv people come in, and it was to talk about the sales team, about just improv, and they used comedy. And it was amazing.
Was it good?
It was really
sometimes
good.
They can be terrible. They're all like legs akimbo. It
was really, really good.
Yeah.
And but I know what you mean about in England, the kind of improv. But over there, I thought it was really good. And just,
I mean, all the people that you love or I love, like Parks and Rec, all the great shows all started at, most of them went to the Chicago School of Comedy, which like deals in improv. And basically improv just teaches you to make... I mean, I've never been taught it. I just can bullshit. I've always been able to bullshit and I love it. But it just even saying the word improv, I can't bear. So yeah.
I think you're very good at if someone the rebuttal's back, it's like aggressive, but it's not aggressive.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, I've always had a front, I think, and that comes from I went to a boarding school where basically everyone's just trying to kill you. So like you just build up this defense mechanism. So I've always been like attack before you're attacked. But to me, the big thrill of Trigger Happy was me and Sam. Sam was filming, and really all of Trigger Happy, is someone comes up and I'm showing off. I'm trying to make Sam laugh. And that's why, like, Trigger Happy had this style that was shaky. It was just because Sam was laughing all the time. And that's really all it was. It was two mates trying to make each other laugh. And that's what was brilliant.
And who would come up with it most? Of it you or Sam, or both of you together? Or you?
It was mostly me, because I had to... We didn't really think about it. Like, we'd just drive around and we'd see a milkman and we'd think, right, milkman, we haven't done that. Then we'd drive to a costume store, get a milkman costume, and then go out. And we'd never know what the joke was going to be. So we'd just sort of... I'd test it and just see what worked. But Sam had some great ideas as well. It was kind of like... It's that indefinable thing, you know. Like,
so random. The one I always think I watched it again just this morning, where you get a rock and you go and sit as like a gnome just while the guy fishing.
That made me laugh so much.
It's just so funny, and you're just like, what the fuck is going on here?
but I just love that, because there's something very weird about sitting around a pond fucking fishing anyway. So it's not that hot. Like, yeah, I really like that one.
Yeah. There was one. I know we keep firing ones.
I love watching my own stuff and laughing. It's great.
I couldn't find it before actually, and it was. You were dressed as a builder, and there was guys laying something on the pavement.
Is that my Irish builder?
Yeah.
That was so weird. So I don't know if we put that out, but it's, you know...
I can't think how to... Was that Trigger Happy or was it...
No, that was Trigger Happy. It's borderline racist, that. It was Trigger Happy Irish builder I'd put. Probably, I don't know if it's all on there. Not the Timber Yard's the greatest one ever, though. But no, it's sort of... I don't even know if we put it out in an actual show, but... I can do it for you, because basically I do a really bad Irish accent. I'm terrible at accents. Like, the only accent I can do is Dutch, and really everything else is just a bit weird. And so I just dressed up as a builder, and there were some builders digging a hole, and Sam and I were always obsessed about it just seemed you could dig a hole anywhere if you're a builder and just do it. And I wandered up to this place, like, hey, what you fucking doing? What you doing with the little hole there with the what you doing there with the big edges, babe? And just doing gibberish. And the guy was like, just started talking back, like as though I was making total sense. I was like, fuck, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know. It was weird. And we did lots of builders. There's cowboy builders I love. Have you ever seen the cowboy builders?
Cowboys are good.
Yeah.
I think what you did, you kept on doing it, and then you went from an Irish accent to an English accent. You said, "Hey mate, I'm really desperate for a job."
Yeah. Well, I often did that, because it's quite weird how people don't, when they're in a weird situation, they don't listen. So I had a policeman who people would come up to and say, "Excuse me, can you tell me where Trafalgar Square is?" I go, no speaking English. And they go, "All right." And they go, "You don't know where it is?" Like, no English. And they go, "All right, sorry." I go, "Oh, no worries at all." And they don't even like bat an eyelid. So I kind of like that.
What are your kind of biggest fans now? Then, when you've been doing the tour, where do people most kind of know you from and recognise you from?
That's what the tour's about, really. Because now I've got two groups of fans. I've got comedy, like Trigger Happy, Well, Shut Your Mouth fans, and then because I've done a lot of travel, and I've written 3 travel books. My new travel book is what I'm plugging now, and they like that. And actually, a lot of them are not similar. So often people are like, "Why is the squirrel guy in North Korea?" That's like the thing. So that's the whole point of the show. It's the show that I've always been into travel and kind of linking them together. So I've got 2 groups really. I've got about 30 to 35-year-olds who are like perfect. Like, they were that age when they watched Trigger Happy. And then I've got sort of 50-year-olds who like travel, but have got kids. Kids have just grown up, and they want to go and do stupid stuff. Yeah. So yeah, it's weird. It's a mix.
So when did you first start travelling then?
Well, I first started travelling... I mean, I did it all my life. Like, I've always been travelling. I grew up abroad. I was always into it. But the first time I really did it was with Well, Shut Your Mouth. I was like, fuck, I can get paid to go everywhere. I went to Newfoundland, went round the world. And then when I got fired from the BBC, I got booted out. You'll see why again tonight. I got a show called Excellent Adventure, and I went to Lebanon and Syria, and then I got a show called Happy Hour, which I love. I went around the world getting pissed or investigating culture.
A lot of when I said I was had you on, a lot of the lads were like, that was a real...
I love that, because that was a real spoof show. Like, I'd watched all these travel shows, and there's just so much shit in it where people lie. So you got Michael Palin saying, we've got to get to the 9:30 train from Alexandria, otherwise we're fucked, we're never going to get our connection, and it's all tense. And then he gets on the train, and then there's a beautiful shot of the train leaving. You go, well, who the fuck filmed that? Like, so all travel shows are lies, and they only ever arrive when the sun's going up or down. So that was more about taking the piss out of travel shows, but that was a lot of fun.
What was Syria like?
Syria's my favourite country in the world, actually. It always has been. When I was a kid, I grew up in the Middle East, in Lebanon, in a civil war. Like, we were right in the middle of a war. And ironically, Syria was peaceful then, so we'd go to Syria to escape. Now, of course, it's the flip side. Syria's fucked, Lebanon's safe. So my book is about how I walked across Lebanon last year, the whole length of Lebanon.
Did you?
And the whole point of it is to get people to go to Lebanon, because people, it's a bit like Afghanistan's still got a bit of a way to go for tourism, but Lebanon, like, there hasn't been a war in Lebanon since 1990. And
what, the whole so where did you start then?
I started on the Israeli border. So they've set up this thing called the Lebanon Mountain Trail. Lebanon, basically, in the middle is mountains. Like, it goes up really high. There's skiing. It's pine forest. It's beautiful. People don't realise that. And so I walked from the Israeli border in the south all the way up to the top to the Syrian border. It took 27 days. It's 470 kilometres. With two mates, and you stay in local houses every night. Absolutely amazing. So
I say all the time in the motivational talks that I do when describing Afghanistan, one of the most beautiful places I've ever been to.
Yeah.
I've never seen as many stars in the sky.
It's incredible
as I did.
I want to go to this place called the Minaret of Jam, which is like the weirdest thing. It's like right in the south of the country, but it's quite tricky to get in at the moment.
What's it called, actually? Let me try it. Minaret.
The Minaret of Jam.
Minaret.
Which is just a great name, yeah. Minaret.
A-R-E-T.
Of Jam. There it is. And I really want to go and see this thing. It's fucking amazing.
And was that a joke I seen about you went to the same school as Bin Laden?
No, I did go to the same school as Bin Laden.
That's crazy.
That's again in the show. So when I did this first show, and I went back to look at this thing. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's beautiful.
That's Afghanistan?
Yeah. I'm surprised they haven't blown it up. Well, they blew up those Buddhas and stuff, which is terrible. When I went back to Lebanon to do this first travel show I did after I got fired from the BBC, I got asked the director said it'd be nice to go back to your old school, see what it's like, because I was at school there for 2 years before I went to school here. And so we went back there, and we're wandering around filming. Headmistress comes out, she's fucking livid. What are you doing here? Like, blah, blah, blah. And I said, I thought we'd sorted it out, and I'd paid a fixer, but he'd just taken the money and fucked off. So, so I was like, I'm really sorry. I went to school here. She goes, who gives a shit? Which was a fair point. And and so I got a bit miffed, and I was like, well, I'm probably your most famous old boy, to be honest. She looks at me like, yeah, whatever. I go, what? Who's more famous than me? And she goes, Osama bin Laden. I go, oh, fair enough, yeah. And it turned out when I was 6 and he was 16, we were at school together for a year. I'd do the whole thing tonight, you'll see.
Wow.
So all I was looking for was a school photo, like just me and Osama.
Can you find? You can't find it.
No, they didn't have it. I mean, the school's a Quaker school. Can you imagine how much they fucked up? Quakers are pacifists. Like, no school has fucked up on its agenda more than that. Look at that. I'd love to go there.
Yeah, that's quality. That.
Yeah.
In Syria they have blown up.
Palmyra.
Yeah.
Well, again, you're talking through my whole show here. This is great.
Oh,
but, no, it's great. In Afghanistan, they blew up these amazing Buddhas because they weren't Islamic, and they were massive, like 100-foot Buddhas. They were beautiful, and they blew them up. In Syria, one of the places I go to is Palmyra, which is the most beautiful place on earth. It's like this desert town. It's got Roman ruins. It's got Ottoman ruins, Mamluk. Like, everyone's always been there. It's always been a really cool place. And I used to go there every year. And then ISIS took it over, and they started executing everyone. They started blowing up the temples. And it was really weird because, I love Syria, and I was more affected when I saw that than I was by the sort of all the deaths coming out of Syria. And I couldn't work out why. And there's that statistic by Stalin that 1 death is a tragedy, 1 million deaths is a statistic. After a bit, you get numbed by it. You just can't take it in. But when people are blowing up temples, that's sort of, there's something genocidal about it. They're trying to erase history. It doesn't make it right, but it's really weird.
Yeah. What was the really sad thing about Iraq when the kind of rightly or wrong and all that, but it was the kind of, there was no, when the kind of bad guys were taken out, there was no, what do we do next? And
there was no thought about it, and they were looting the museums and stuff. Yeah, and it's their own history. That's what's insane.
Really
What were the people like in Syria then? Just
beautiful.
Obviously just normal.
But it's like all these places when you go there, it's like when I'm talking about Lebanon, I call my book the Hezbollah Hiking Club. So people are like, oh, are you pro-Hezbollah or anti-Hezbollah? I'm fucking anti-extremist. Like I've been in Lebanon, I've been shelled by everyone, like Palestinians, Syrians, I've been bombed by Israelis. I'm like, everyone's bombed me. So they're all as bad as fuck. And most people are 80%. It's like in England. 80% of people around Brexit just don't give a fuck. They just want a peaceful life. It's the extremists, it's the loudmouths on all these sides, and especially in the Middle East. And so to me, anyone that thinks they're right isn't. They're wankers, So, yeah, but the Syrians are lovely people, really, really nice.
I remember Top Gear actually went through Syria,
Did
think,
they?
At one
Bastards.
point.
Yeah.
A while ago.
Yeah. I went on a beautiful road trip through Syria. I mean, it's just an incredible place. It's my favourite country on earth, probably.
So surprising, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what's such a shame. And when I show the pictures in my presentation of Afghanistan, of the mountains and
it's incredible. Views, Afghanistan's up there, I'd say. Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah, except for the explosions.
Yeah, it's not ideal.
Yeah.
When I was there as well, 2009, it was actually the deadliest year for British Armed Forces. So 108 soldiers were killed in 1 year alone. And you take into account the law of averages, that states 7 or 8 was seriously injured for everyone that's killed. That's nearly 900 soldiers.
And you think how long we've been there
injured,
for very little. Like, I mean, in the end, we're just going to hand it back.
Well, all the Taliban are in the same compounds that we were occupying.
Yeah, I'm sure they are.
You know, it's crazy.
It always, I think I've mentioned it always mix up Iraq and Afghanistan, but it just seems like the same war.
It's a completely different war. I mean, if anything, Afghanistan was sort of justified because they did have training camps there, and it was where Al-Qaeda checked for 9/11. But Iraq had absolutely fuck all to do it. I mean, if anything, Saddam Hussein was anti-Islamic, because he was a dictator. He didn't want radical Islam, and we opened that up and just made the whole place.
People think that Iraq was first. It was actually Afghanistan was first.
Afghanistan was first, and then Iraq was kind of just revenge for Dad. It was pathetic that. Yeah. So Iraq was a pointless war. Afghanistan, there was a reason for it. I thought. Yeah.
Any other interest? Obviously, I know you've been in North Korea, haven't you?
In North Korea,
which I tried to book.
Wants to go.
I tried to book through Kaigo Tours.
Koryo Tours.
Is it Koryo?
Yeah, that's who I went with. Yeah.
Is that who you went? Yeah.
Yeah.
Tom turned up one day and was like,
North Korea is. You'll see it tonight. You're going to love my tour tonight. I tell you, North Korea is like the problem with travel. The reason I travel is, to me, to travel, like you need to stretch your. The whole point is to get out of your comfort zone, see something different, and that's what it used to be. Now, like the world's so homogenized. Like everywhere you go, there's a fucking Starbucks, and it's like, what's the point?
Yeah.
So unfortunately, the only places you can really go where are different are like war zones or places that are run by repressive regimes. And North Korea is off the fucking charts. Like it's so mental. You just wouldn't even believe it.
So could you even get a visa? Because I suppose you class yourself as a journalist.
Well, it was really difficult. So as a journalist, I wouldn't have been allowed in. But I sort of said I was a comedian, and they didn't really check too much. But they do this awful thing. Like, so when you see YouTubers going in there occasionally and filming stuff that's like really detrimental, it's terrible because North Koreans are fucking smart. They basically say when you go in, they give you your guide, and whether you like the guide's a member of the government, you don't really like him, but you feel responsible for him. And they say, if you do anything to piss us off, we'll kill him. They don't say that. But, and so you do feel like, fuck, like I've got to be responsible here of what I do, and some of those people aren't. I mean, it's a fucking nightmare. But the place is so insane that you get taken to, we went to everything. Like we went to the only golf course in Pyongyang, or in North Korea, 9-hole golf course. So we turn up there, and Kim Jong-un's dad went there one day. He'd never played golf before. Guess what? 9 holes in one. Unbelievable. And they're telling us that, yeah? They're telling us that. And you're looking him in the eye like, come on. And if you go to any other totalitarian country, like you step away from the guide, they're all like, yeah, I know, it's bollocks. But there, they've drunk the Kool-Aid. I mean, it's insane, yeah.
You can't even imagine that, can you?
It's amazing. I mean, it's so weird. I can't explain. You've got to go.
If Andy served in the military, would he be able to get a visa, do you reckon, or not?
I think probably, yeah. I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, it's not, again, it's not a place for an American tourist. Like, just everywhere there are there are the sort of massive posters of boots crushing American heads and things like that. And insane things you go to. Like, there's a boat, there's a spy boat that they nicked off the Americans, and they've got it in the river, and you go and see it, and the captain who took it from the Americans tells you this long story about how he found the American captain hiding under the desk, and he kicked him up the anus as the translation came and stuff like that. I mean, it's fucking... Do you know what? It's awful, but it's brilliant. I mean, it's so fascinating. Like, and the military side is amazing as well. Yeah. You go to the demilitarized zone, you go into the trenches on the North Korean side, and you're using periscopes, and you're looking over, and you're seeing South Koreans doing the same at you. It's fucking amazing. And then when I was at the demilitarized zone, there were 2 American GIs taking pictures with a zoom of me and us. And I was thinking, fuck it, next time I go to America, they're going to be like, what's this about? Oh, and you went to school with Osama bin Laden as well. Like, it's not
when I went to the States back in December, it says on the Esther, is it?
Yeah.
Have you been to North Korea?
Oh, fuck. I mean, imagine me. I tick every box. So they look at me. I'm born in Beirut, went to school with Osama bin Laden. They Google me, and I'm trigger happy, and comedy terrorist. Where have you been? Syria, North Korea, Iran. What were you doing in Iran? Skiing. Right, bend over, you fucker. It's terrible.
What has been your favourite country?
I mean, there's so many. I think Cambodia. I love Cambodia. I thought it was a fucking amazing country. It was kind of like, it hadn't been ruined like Thailand and stuff. And because I'm sort of obsessed with history, like that whole Khmer Rouge thing was happening at the same time as Lebanon. And you go there and there's almost no one between the age of 40 and 70. Insane. And if they are, you think they were part of it. I went to a war crimes trial. I went to, just insane things. Like
Did you go with Killing Fields?
I went to the Killing Fields. I met a guy. It was just the most insane. I found out this place where I heard that tourists were paying $500 to blow up cows with RPGs. Yeah. I was like, it can't be. I went there. It fucking was. Like, that's what gap year students are doing. I mean, it's a crazy country. And then Phnom Penh is amazing. It's like got all this history. There's elephants wandering down the street. It's an incredible place.
Yeah, I went 2014 and there was a really
Did you blow up a cow?
No.
Good, yeah.
No, I went to, there was a really good, like, it was a foreign correspondence, like...
It's my favourite place, the FCC.
That's like... It's like a bar, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bar, but it's where all the kind of great... And it's so weird, because you actually were in the army, and Marines. Then you've got the foreign correspondence... Sorry, Marines, sorry, yeah. But, okay, you're in the military, and then you got the foreign correspondents that follow you, and I'm following foreign correspondence. Like I used to read all those foreign correspondents, John Swain, River of Time, all these great books about these places. So I always feel I'm like the third in line. Like you actually took the bullets, then someone reported on that, and I'm reporting on that. So the FCC is like, for someone like me, it's like, it's amazing. You go there and all these amazing photos. It's incredible.
I remember sitting up. There's first floor, isn't there?
You look over it's incredible. Yeah,
it's really cracking country. Yeah. But Killing Fields were the one thing that struck is the way that you can see the bones are still in.
Oh my god, it's awful. Just bones sticking out, and you're walking on top, and then you go to 12/7 or whatever the sort of killing place where they tortured them, and there's big signs on the wall saying "Do not laugh," because you know that gap year kids are going through and they're not taking in what fucking happened.
It's like the thing with Auschwitz, isn't it? People are taking fucking selfies.
Influencers. Like I was in Chernobyl. Like there are influencers fucking doing topless shoots and stuff. You know, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah. Is it really?
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
I mean, not when I was there, but now. I mean, influence didn't exist then.
Well, actually, on Chernobyl, I remember seeing something because you wrote The Dark Tourist, didn't you? An old Netflix.
Which has now been nicked by Netflix, the fucking cunts. Honestly, because I wanted to write it as a book. I didn't want to do it as a TV show. I wanted to really prove my chops as like a travel writer. I wasn't just a celeb trying to go off travelling. But then Dark Tourist was a massive success, did really well. And I thought, you know what, it is a really great idea for a TV series. So I went to Netflix and I pitched it and they loved it. And then I didn't hear back. And then fucking 2 years later... Suddenly it's like...
Surely you can do something like...
No, not The Dark Tourist, but Dark Tourist comes out, going to all my places. Now, I don't own the term Dark Tourist. Like, it's an intellectual... It's a...
That's bullshit.
It's an term, but it was so clearly Nick. And I know that because everyone goes, oh, looking forward to seeing your show on Netflix. I go, fuck all to do with me. So I've had a massive public sulk, and it's terrible. But I'm sick of that shit. There's a guy called Remy Gaillard who's a French...
Oh, yeah, the French...
You know, I think he's really funny, but he's nicked so much of my stuff. He's done The Snail, and he's just outright nicked it. And he admitted when he started that, you know, he watched Trigger Happy and that kicked him off. So I had a go at him, and then he had a go at me, and we had a massive fight. And I like a fight anyway, but I'm bored of... people nick stuff. It just fucks me off. It's lazy.
How do these YouTube people who do how do they make money?
Fuck knows, but all I know is that he nicked my snail joke and he's got, I think, 120 million views on it, and he gets paid per view, I think. I don't know how it works. You know, good luck to him.
I've seen you weighed in on a Twitter thing about the in Liverpool, the bands or something. No guy who...
Well, that's Baby Bird. I love Baby Bird. Like, Baby Bird's one of my favourite bands, and the guy who does it, Stephen Jones, is he's famously grumpy. He's a bit like me, but I think he's brilliant. And he hasn't done anything for about 10 years. He now just sits in his basement and he literally makes about fucking 4 CDs a month, and they're genius. He doesn't have a record contract, anything. And I was like, this is insane. So I contacted him and I said, look, I just love your stuff, and I've got this podcast called Earworm where I make weird phone calls, and I just used all his music because I really wanted to help him, and I love his music. I'm like, I can't believe I got Baby Bird making me my own music, and I soundtracked the whole thing to it. And he just did a tour, and he went to Jimmy's in Liverpool, and I don't know what happened, but apparently Baby Bird's famously he has a go at people in the audience and stuff, but there were some people in there that weren't there to see him, and they found out he just did You're Gorgeous, all they knew, and they were hurling abuse, so he hurled abuse back. Then someone was really rude to his daughter, so obviously something happened.
Yeah.
But he finished his gig, and Jimmy's refused to pay him, and I don't know what the deal is, and it's not really much money. He knows that. It's just the principle. I think you should pay someone if they do their job. That's all.
Yeah.
But you know,
do you like a good Twitter spot?
Oh, I love it. I'm terrible. My wife tries to take my phone away and stuff. I do drunk. You know, I don't. You know, it's like drink dialing. I drink tweet. I love a good argument.
I'm a good. Well, not good at it. The old Instagram stories when you're pissed and you wake up the next morning, you're like, fuck.
I know.
Just deleting them.
Oh my
no
God, I've done
them.
that. I've been wandering around, pissed around Watford, slagging the place off, and then I wake up in the morning, like, what the fuck am I doing? But I think it's fun. Like if you're going to do stuff like that, it's got to be real.
Yeah.
You know, otherwise, what's the point? If you've got, you know, I know people that got their other people writing their tweets. And you like, you know,
it's always funny
big fucking comedians I know that you would know, and they've paid people to tweet out funny stuff for them. It's like, the fuck is that about? Mind you, if I got to that stage, absolutely,
Samuel,
it's quite funny when you see you always get a footballer, and it's happened a few times, and you know their agents have said, you know, they've had a bad game, and they've texted them, the player, and said, just tweet out. Really,
and they keep the just tweet out.
And you're like, you fucking idiot.
Yeah.
You know
or when people are doing like paid for ads, and it's like copy for you to put like that, or the Kardashians always do it. It's crazy. I love that shit though. I mean, actually, Twitter and stuff like that's great when you're traveling. Like when I went to Cambodia, actually, I arrived in Phnom Penh. I said, just landed in Phnom Penh. Anyone got any suggestions? Like I did with Liverpool yesterday. And most people's suggestions was go fuck yourself or leave the town, you know, like that. But, which is fair enough. But in Cambodia, occasionally you get a guy and he said, oh, you don't know me, but I know a friend of yours, so I knew who he was. And he said, I'm a photographer here. So if you fancy, I'll show you around the city. So I thought, oh, that sounds kosher. And I met him. He's fucking brilliant. And so awesome. That sort of stuff is like the power of crowds, you know.
I think that's great. I went to South America, done Colombia.
I'd love to go to Colombia.
Yeah, Medellin.
Did you go to Cartagena?
Cartagena, yeah.
Oh, I'd love to go there. Yeah. And did you go to Medellin?
Medellin, Cartagena.
Oh, yes.
It was amazing. 3 or 4 places.
Tour. yeah.
Medellin, I like a bit like you like the history and stuff.
Did you go to that prison
where he built the prison?
Yeah, his own palace. Yeah,
up in the mountains.
Did you watch Narcos and stuff and then see it? It's incredible, isn't it?
I've seen a few documentaries on him and stuff, and but they hate him. They absolutely hate him. And this is a thing people think, oh, you know, gangster, you know, he was loved. Fucking, they hate him.
Yeah, I mean, he went to war with the government basically. Yeah,
there's like about 500 people who love him, and that's because he built about 100 apartments. And the tour guide said, you know, how does it work? Then, you know, depending on how many apartments you build, then that's okay to kill that many people. It doesn't fucking work like that. You're a mass murderer. Who gives a fuck if you built loads of apartments? But you go there, and there's I went to his grave, and there was an old guy brushing his grave.
Where is his grave? In Medellin, is it?
In Medellin, yeah. And
is it Medellin? Fuck, I could say Medellin. That's such a bad mistake.
They probably do. That's me, I think.
No. It's a Scouse. It's Scouse Colombian. Medellin.
And this guy was... I think there's a thing about, like, you know, gap year students, they always have a line of coke off his grave.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
But then the other side is you get the kind of older people who... Because he just made a load of homeless people. He just built them all apartments. And said to all the homeless, go and live in these. And, like, you get them now... turn up every day cleaning the grave. And they're like eternally grateful for them.
It's funny, when I was walking through Lebanon, there's an amazing, I'm ruining all the show for you tonight, but there's a valley called Kadisha Valley. It's beautiful, very deep valley. It's where like Christians used to hide from persecution, and there used to be lots of hermits. There's caves. There's only one hermit there now, and he weirdly was Colombian, and he was called Escobar. I was like, no, it can't be like that. And I don't know much about hermits, but I know they don't want to see people. But this guy likes visitors, so we sent a message saying, can we come and see you? And it came back, are you women? And we went, no. He went, no. He's like a randy Colombian hermit.
We got to go. He had this island in Colombia, and he just used to take Escobar. He just used to take all his like men. It was on an amazing, beautiful island, and then he'd just get boats, loads of whores to come, and they just have parties.
Whore Island.
Whore Island. But what I was saying about the people thing with social media is when we went to Brazil, I went there for the Rio Carnival, and rather than stay in a hotel, we stayed in an Airbnb and shared with a girl. And it was so cool just to do things the kind of local way. Like the big thing in Rio is to go to a big like football stadium, and then you see the thing that's on TV. She was like, fuck that, go to block parties. And they're just like the Rio Carnival for the people.
Like mini carnivals.
Yeah. And it's just called blockos. And it's like you come to Liverpool, and it's like all the areas like Anfield, Bootle, Walton, Highton, they've all got their own little parties going on. And some of them are just static, and then some of them wander around, and it's you wouldn't have got that experience if you hadn't have stayed in like
but
an
that's
Airbnb.
the whole point. Like when I walked across Lebanon, you stay in local houses, and that's how you meet people. Like otherwise, if you're staying in
Such
a hotel,
a more fulfilling experience than staying in some hotel and just being
totally.
like, you know, it was amazing.
Have you come across any sticky situations then?
yeah. I mean, normally, like what's weird when you go to these dangerous countries is like I milk it when I come back, but actually most of them are. You know, like you go to somewhere like Iran, they're the friendliest people. They're absolutely amazing. They love that you've come there and stuff. The worst place I've ever been is the Congo. Congo is like off, and I went to good Congo, not bad. There's two Congos. There's DRC, which is Zaire, and then there's Republic. I went to Republic monster hunting because I became a monster hunter. I'm really ruining the show for you tonight because I'm telling my stories. But, that was off the charts. Like I was just like so out of control there. It was I got arrested, and then it was a 3-day canoe ride down to a village. They all got drunk. I was attacked with a machete. Guy was tied to a tree. I was like running out the village, got in a canoe. I mean, it was proper fucking. But all at the back of your head, you're thinking, God, if I get out of this is gonna be great for the book. Like, it's really good. But I was such a chicken shit, and then that was terrible. I was so out of my depth there. Yeah. But there's lots of little things, but nothing bad. I'm a coward, basically, so it's all right.
just and paying a lot of people off then.
What do you mean?
As in like officials and...
No, I've never had to do that too much. Once I was arrested when we were doing Happy Hour, I was arrested in Mexico for... Someone gave us some peyote. We weren't even going to do it. We were just staring at it, and we were just sort of holding it and filming it. And this police car drove past, stopped, and that was it. Luckily, I wasn't holding it. Pete was, and he went into prison. And we had to go in. And so I just thought I'd seen the films, like, I know what you do, like, I think this may help. Yeah? And he tried to arrest me then for bribing him. And I was like, fuck, you've got to do it subtly. And I said, maybe there's a retirement fund for, see. So like, even when you're bribing, you've got to like do it in a proper way. It was like...
what was it again?
Peyote.
Peyote.
Which is it's a bulb, which it's what all the doors went off and did. It's like a really strong hallucinogenic. It's what all the people do with shaman up in the desert, and you take it, and that's it for about 2 days. Yeah.
What's the one in South America?
Ayahuasca.
Ayahuasca.
Yeah.
I've always...
that's licking the toad, isn't it?
I went to I went to New Zealand in the summer, and the guy there, he'd done it, and he said it was one of the most amazing experiences.
Which one? Ayahuasca? Yeah. Well, it's a lot of vomiting. I've done it.
Have you done it?
Yeah.
Did you do the proper preparation where you...
Yeah. I have to say, I mean, I just think it's like acid. Some people are good at that sort of thing. Some people aren't. It's not for me. No. I just wept for 2 days and just vomited and hated myself. Really? Yeah. I was in an ayahuasca hole.
Well, yeah. Fucking hell. So where was that? Whereabouts in South America was it?
What? Ecuador.
Oh, the ayahuasca, yeah. So what do you? Yeah, so I'm actually quite interested in ayahuasca. So what do you actually do then? What is it? It's a plant. It's.
Do you know what? I think it is a plant of some form. There is a toad that you can lick that has the hallucinogenic. You can lick the underside of a toad, but with this, they put it in a sort of liquid, and then you have this ceremony, and then you sip it, and you do just projectile vomit, which is part of it. I mean, it's not a pleasant experience. I don't know, but I've got mates that have, that spend their whole time on magic mushrooms and think it's the best thing in the world. I had magic mushrooms once in Manchester, and well, actually, I didn't realise I got stoned in Manchester with some students like 8 years ago when I was like 19. Then I got the munchies, went downstairs, and there was an omelette. I thought, right, I'm having that. And it was full of mushrooms. And that was it. And I spent the whole night outside under a car thinking the chassis was dripping on my face. I mean, it was not for me. But some people love it. There's always some guy going, if you come with me and I'll talk you through it in a field. It's like, fuck off. I'm fine. Yeah.
What? So how did, moving on a bit then, how did I'm a Celeb happen?
Well, I'm a Celeb happen just because I love reality shows. And you really are going through my show. It's really funny.
I haven't been before, man.
No, I know, it's crazy.
Fan?
Well, basically, because I love reality shows. Everyone's a snob about reality shows. I watch any shit TV, so I love reality anyway. And weirdly, for my skill set, which is limited, improv works on reality shows. Like I was on I'm a Celeb with Jenny Eclair. She's a great comedian, but she hated improvising because she's someone's got a set and she likes doing that, and she doesn't like it. Whereas I love just making shit up and having an argument. So when you're asked to do it, you think, of course I'm going to do it. Like, even if you had all the money in the world, you couldn't do that show. And it is an extraordinary experience, whether you want it or not. I was lucky. I had Sean Ryder, Nigel Havers, Britt Eklund. I mean, it's fucking mental that you're in them.
You were on the one, though, where the woman was fainting, wasn't it?
Dr. Gillian McKeith, the most unpleasant woman in the history of television.
What were you like when she was doing that fainting thing?
Well, because she knew that I was going to call her out on it, and we were walking down to the live trial, and she did that thing. I'm a good liar. I can see when someone's setting up a lie. She did a couple of, I'm feeling a bit faint, Dom. I go, you'll be all right. No, I really am. And then when she got down, they said, right, you've been chosen to the live trial. And she does this thing no one does when you faint, this. You know, like sort of thing. And she fell down. And then if you watch it on the ground, she's out, but her shirt has ridden up. So she goes, it was such bollocks. Yeah.
So what happens? So literally, do you just get a call? Obviously, your agent gets a call and says, look, do you want to do this?
You know what? Or everyone always says, I got asked to do I'm a Celeb, and I said no, and they're like, they ask everyone. Like every year, I think they just fish, and they just ask everyone of interest.
Would you be up for doing it?
Yeah, and then they see who's said yes, and then from that, they cast, basically. You know, they literally, it's normally there's a comedian, there's an old performer, there's an American they pay the millions to, it's all that sort of stuff. But really, it's quite a weird skill, because once they've chosen people, it is a crapshoot. They then put you in, and they've no idea what's going to happen, so it's quite exciting for them. And I didn't know. Obviously, lots of people said to me, don't do it, because basically going on I'm a Celeb normally means either you're an American, you're getting paid 10 million, or your career's dead. And I was like, well, I don't really need, I'm not coming out of I'm a Celeb to open supermarkets. I'm not going to do that. I just genuinely loved the experience. And actually, it was great for me. I lost 2 stone. It was like a digital detox. I fucking loved every second of it. The island with Bear Grylls, which again I talk about, that was the fucker. That was the worst thing I've ever done.
Oh, yeah, of course,
and I show photos tonight that's just, you won't believe, of my leg. Like sand flies buried, like laid eggs in my leg, and it still happens. It's fucking awful. That was terrible.
Fucking hell.
So what? And on that, sorry.
Yeah, go on. Yeah.
I'm conscious that on the island then. So obviously, I think from when I've watched it anyway, and I think I remember seeing you on it, is they have another island, don't they, where there's like the crew there.
Yeah.
And then
fuckers. No, I mean the island is as close as you get to real shit.
Oh, it's really as in like it is what it is.
You are just booted off the boat, and that's it. And you have 4 crew with you who film the whole thing, but they have to live like you do. So they're not only having to survive, but they also film. They have the worst job.
You speaking to them and stuff like you can.
Yeah. I mean, they are part of the island.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how you live. And there's no contact with anyone for 3 weeks, unless someone dies, and then they've got a hidden radio. But no one comes in, and it was just a nightmare. And we called Bear Grylls Barely Their Grills, because he basically only turned out on the day he took us in. And then I had one day before where Royal Marines trained us, and they trained us in bamboo, like make fire with bamboo, make furniture with bamboo, all this stuff. And I was desperately learning. Then we get on the island, no fucking bamboo. Like, there was nothing. It was a fucking nightmare. I was nearly dead when I got off that island, but I lasted. And what's funny is the gym bunnies. Like, we had a guy who played rugby for Scotland, and we had one of JLS. And so 2 sort of real Jimbo, couldn't wait to get the shirts off. And like the moment they get on the island, they're hacking their way through. And we were like, fuck, these guys are going to be great. After about 12 hours, they were just gone, because they had 0 body fat. They had no reserves. Yeah. And they're gone. And both of them had to leave the island in the end. They were just like that. It was crazy. So that's why the Ray Mears model is better than the Bear Grylls.
Ray Mears has dropped off a lot, hasn't he?
What?
Ray Mears, I don't see him at all.
He's a weird guy, Ray Mears. You think, what does he do? My favourite Ray Mears moment ever was he was in the Amazon, and he was with a tribe, and he was saying, could you show me your method of making fire? And they looked, and then the guy put his hand in his pocket, he brought out a lighter, and Ray Mears went, oh, right. And he ended up teaching them their old method of making fire. And they were like, why would we bother? We got a fucking lighter. I love that.
So whenever I watch it, as soon as it's that island, whenever they all go in as a group, don't they?
Yeah.
And there's always like, obviously they're full of energy.
Yeah.
As soon as you go in, and then sort of they start hiking through. They don't know where the fuck they're going. There's an argument starts, and
that's
then,
me. That's exactly what happened.
How? Because I can't remember what happened. So, would you? What is on hindsight? What's the best plan? Is it just go hell for leather for the first 36 hours? You've got all the energy in the world.
The best plan in the world is like everything with survival. You need to start a fire, because without the fire you can't boil the water, because you have to find water and boil it. If you haven't got fire, you can't do that. And the most important thing, and the thing you can't be asked to do, is build somewhere comfortable to sleep. And get yourself off the floor, because we had no bamboo and we were so knackered anyway. We just slept on the floor, and the sand flies. I know it doesn't sound bad, but they just ate us alive, and that just drives you mental, and you can't survive. You need to get, and while you've got your initial energy, I'm sure it's a marine thing, like you learn that, like you've just got to get in there and get organised. But we were just a bunch of headless chickens. We had no idea what we were doing. I mean, but that makes
Good experience. Do you enjoy it though?
Well, I loved it. I mean, I'm really proud that I lasted. Like, if I'd done it when I was 20, I'd have said, fuck this, I'd have left. So I'm proud I lasted. But it made me realise that clearly the apocalypse is coming soon here. And when it does, don't ring me. I'm just shit at it. But I loved it. I loved the challenge of that. And again, it's like that opportunity you'd never...
Yeah.
Like, why would you not have that opportunity?
I got asked, like, obviously not a celebrity and clearly not a chef. I went on Celebrity Masterchef.
Did you?
I got asked to go on that.
Did you enjoy it?
I think, yeah, it was good fun, yeah. But it was obvious for that it was at a... It's a kind of, obviously I'm not a celeb, no one knows who the fuck I am, but like Joey Essex was on it.
Yeah.
And
well, he doesn't know who he is. So. So I once genuinely had to rescue Joey Essex from a loo because it was push-pull on the door and he had no idea. Honestly, it wasn't even a joke.
People were saying to me, like, is he really that thick? And I was like, no, he is.
He's thicker, I'd say.
Yeah, we were sitting there in the green room. There was me, Neil Ruddock, Oti.
I love Neil Ruddock.
He's a good guy.
Dude.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. Text him now and again. He's a good guy. Oti off Strictly Come Dancing and Zandra Rhodes. Me and Joey Essex.
She's batty, Zandra Rhodes, yeah.
You know what? We all got on great.
Yeah.
But I ended up going out first round. Joey Essex getting all this help, fucking turning the oven on, didn't know what the fuck to do. Like, but no one, obviously, they're not going to kick him out first because it's TV. In the green room, like he made me feel stupid just speaking to him. Like I wasn't even saying anything.
It's like it's catching.
Yeah. I felt like, you know the way sometimes, and he's sitting there and he's talking about like, I mean, I've really enjoyed this conversation. It's great hearing about your different travels and stuff. He's telling me about his adventures, and this is how he's explaining it. He was going, so I was in the jungle for this show, and there was a gorilla, and this gorilla was sitting there, and he's a big gorilla, and he's talking to, and I'm like, and anyway, he basically just said he was quite close to a gorilla. But it spent 5 minutes and he's just saying... And
I'm quite chuffed he knew what a gorilla was.
Oh, mate. He is...
It is insane, isn't it? Yeah. And he's done so well. But it's like the Jade Goody thing. Like, whatever you think about Jade Goody, I was talking to someone, a pap, and he said, paparazzi said, a good picture of Jade Goody, like the biggest selling cover of Heat ever, was Jade Goody on the front. And I'm like, but she was thick as two short planks. This woman thought East Anglia was in abroad, and I don't know why that's an aspirational thing to be, but I don't know. Maybe we're the cunts. I don't know. It's possible.
It is a crazy town that we live in that sense, isn't it? Yeah.
Right.
I was going to say something to you, actually. You know, you're doing your... I watched a little interview with you, and you were saying about you were in Telford or something. You were like, no one in... Was it Telford? You said, oh, no one must like me in Telford or something.
Yeah.
Not. I just done it... completely kind of off track what you're doing.
Because sometimes you do an evening and it's full, and sometimes you tell there's no one there. You go, what the fuck have I done in this town?
You can give me some professional advice then. So I do the motivational speaking, and like say corporate world, they book me in schools, whatever it may be. But then I'll always get people on social media saying, Andy, how can I come and hear one of your motivational talks? And I'm like, unless you work for one of these companies, you know, I'm not going to come to your house and give you a motivational talk. So I was thinking, what you'll do? So I put on an event. Tom came to one, and it was good. So we just sold tickets. I think you turned up, you got a bacon butty and a coffee, paid £10, listened to me speak for an hour. It was great, worked really well. Had about 40 or 50 people, and we've done it 3 times over. Worked great. Teamed up with a friend, and we said, we'll do another one, like a seminar, like a 2-hour kind of thing. And
like an event.
An event, we'll get like a few speakers on and stuff. So it suddenly turned into now you've got to pay more people, you've got to get things. And so we charged like £35 for this event, but the thing's on for like 3 hours in the end.
Yeah, no one will rock up for that.
Fuck, no.
Yeah.
No one.
Well, I keep mine cheap. I mean, I look at some of the prices of...
But what you provide, though, is like, self-development, and you think, fucking hell. And I'm thinking, knowing kind of me and the speakers, I'm thinking this should be really good, this. That's fucking like flogging a dead horse.
But there's a limit to what people will pay. I think it's astonishing, some of the prices. Like, even for shit stand-ups, you're looking at 35 quid. 40 quid for a ticket. It's insane. Mine are 18 quid. I think that's really good value. And
why is what you're saying, and already just being around you now, I'd be happy to pay way more. Why?
Yeah, but I think my problem is I'm not known as a stand-up. I think people, when they come tonight, they've no idea what they're coming to. Most of them think, Trig Happy, is he going to be shouting to a phone? Or the travel people know what it is. But the whole point of doing this tour is like trying to... I don't do live stuff, and it's basically saying, look, I'm quite good at it now. I mean, I was shit for ages, and you need to build that. You don't just suddenly happen. So I'm happy to slowly build it up. Everyone that comes to it seems to really like the show, and it's really interesting. I like doing it, so we'll see. But sometimes places don't promote it. Like I did Shrewsbury and Telford. They're next to each other. Shrewsbury, I had 650 people. Telford, I had 52. And you're like, what the fuck have I done in Telford? But you don't know.
Do you enjoy it then, the live stuff now?
It used to be my biggest fear, especially when people said you're a comedian. They just assume I was a stand-up, and I've never done stand-up, and it's just not. And now I've cracked it. Yeah, I think.
I heard a comedian say it was on. I think it was on the Jonathan Ross show. I think it was, and Stephen Graham, the actor, was on. Is that all the Graham? Anyway, one of these shows. I saw it because I like Stephen Graham, and anyway, it was one of his interviews, and it was a comedian, and they put it on him and they said, he turned around and said he hates gigging in Liverpool because obviously Liverpool's known as a city, got quite quick-witted, good sense of humour, and it's kind of, he said that feeling of the people think that
they're funnier than you,
or at least you've got to be funny kind of quick.
Yeah. Well, there's definite pressure. I felt that with Liverpool. I mean, coming to Liverpool, you think, they do. This is kind of what you guys think you're good at, and it's like, fuck, you either are good and then I'm going to look shit, or it is like a bit of a test. Whereas you get at Birmingham, no offence, it's like, they're just happy someone's rocked up, really. Fuck, that's Birmingham sales gone.
Yeah.
I love Birmingham.
It must be not that I'm feeling sorry for you, but it must be quite lonely though, going from each. Do you know what I mean?
No, I love it. I love it. It's really weird. I mean, I could have someone going with me on tour. My first tour, I had tour manager and I had something else. I'm paying them to do the stuff that, frankly, I can do myself. And it's the way I travel. I travel on my own when I go around the world. I really like my own company. And it's great. I just spend the day exploring. I'm writing a book. I really like tour life. And then I just rock up. I've got something to do, a bit of an adrenaline hit, stay at a shit hotel. It's great. I'm not doing the whole time. It's like a 2-month tour. No, I'm off. I love it. I'm just trying to slip it in before coronavirus kills us all. So I think I've got about 4 weeks.
We asked John Bishop when we had him on this, what it was like coming off a huge, big, like stadium tour.
Yeah.
Like how did
don't ask me.
What it was like just going back to the hotel, because regardless, mate, if you do
I'm telling you, it's a nightmare. And you can see that. I mean, even I have a good night, 600 people, or whatever, and it's like a real buzz. And then you go back to the Novotel and like you drive back and you try and stop at a petrol station and the fucking petrol station won't even let you in. Like you have to go through the night safe and you're going, can I have, like, are you just like, this is not rock and roll? And then you end up at the Novotel and they've just closed the bar and you just sit there. It's fucking
crazy,
grim. Yeah. And you can see why, like, people just go mental. You think, it's got to be cocaine and hookers then.
Yeah, it does. Shall I get your dates up here then?
Oh yeah,
Dom,
go on.
And then,
not many left till we're allowed out. When's this going out?
Monday.
Okay. I'm doing a Liverpool gig.
We can do it out.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, we can put it out when do you want it?
Couldn't we?
Hang on. No.
When do you want it to go out?
I don't care. Whenever you put it out, it won't make any difference to people that just either come or don't. I don't know how it works, but I'm just finding my actual Liverpool gig.
Yeah, I've seen it before. It's.
I'm at the Epstein.
I'm gonna have to come along to that.
Oh, here we go. Liverpool Epstein on March the 25th.
All right, yeah. Plenty of time then.
So that'd be good.
Yeah.
I tell you what, you're doing a lot, aren't you?
Yeah, it's crazy. 56 nights, one day off a week, and I'm halfway through. It's starting to kill me now. But yeah,
there it is. Yeah, Liverpool.
Yeah.
So March 25th.
Yeah. So no, I'll be excited by that, and that will be a test because it will be full of people thinking they're funnier than me, and they probably are.
The last one, Cheltenham.
Yeah. Well, that's a kind of late one. That's like that's post coronavirus. I thought I'd have time to do it. No, because I want to do a hometown gig, and it's where I live. And I just thought I'd do it right at the end once I'd really nailed it and I was good.
Aren't you in Cheltenham this week?
Huh?
Cheltenham this week, the
I'll
race.
be joking, it's fucking virus central. Someone put up a big thing showing Italy, they've closed all of Italy down.
I seen you too.
England, Cheltenham, it's like just everyone together, a big virus. It's like, fuck me.
I done a gig in Guildhall last week and Max Rushton was the presenter, and I thought he was joking at first, and he said, right guys, when you come off your awards, don't want to shake anyone's hand, fist pump.
I'm not doing it. I mean, I was shaking hands, and I was thinking, this is honestly insane.
Are you not shaking hands?
Well, because someone put up that thing of Peter Andre put up a thing saying, don't look or shake Mr. Andre's hand, and you think, you're being a cunt. But then, I mean, genuinely, like, even if I'm not worried about it, if someone's got it, gives it to me, I then give it to everyone else. So I make a joke. I do that one. Yeah. I really like that.
That's what he's doing a fist bump.
Fist bump's just as bad. You're going to get it.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
I didn't really know. I thought he was joking at first, and then over the next coming days, you see
it's just suddenly got serious, I think. So anyway, let's not talk about that. Right.
Have you got a meal to...
Yeah, I've got to go.
Yeah, you've got to go.
Thank you very much, guys. I really enjoyed that. It was really good. Yeah,
very much.
Nice.
Thank you so much.
See you tonight.
Yeah, will do. Thank you, mate.
You've heard all the stories, though.
Yeah, cheers.